there and welcome back to Build with the Boys. We now have issue 117 of Hachette's Build the Titanic. So we've received 117 through to 120. It's going to be light work. From what I can see from all of these, there is really not that much to do in these next 4 issues, but it's all relevant, it all needs to be done, particularly the one we're about to do. So we're going to be fitting the main circuit board to the hull. But that's it. Nothing's plugging into it at this point, but that will be coming. So I do know that in issues 121 through to 124, we will be putting the decks together and we will be testing the electrics. So this needs to be in for when we eventually test the electrics. Now, they are quite specific about this one. They say do not try to fit the hull to the stand at this stage. So mine's on the stand, and I'm sure everyone's is on the stand. But once this has been put in, they're saying don't put it back on the stand. I don't know. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. But if that's what they're saying, that's what they're saying. So probably best we listen rather than we bugger the motherboard up. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to bring the hull over and probably exasperate an existing back condition as I do because it's getting heavier. We're going to get this circuit board fitted. At the end of this one, we are going to be talking about Plymouth Harbour. Plymouth Harbour, which might not be the Plymouth Harbour you're thinking about. But we will go into exactly what I mean by that at the end of this one. If you haven't yet, please remember to like and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get this one open. Let's see what we get with this one, and let's get this installed. Okay, let me just move this incredibly exclusive limited edition Build with the Boys keyring out of the way. I swear that wasn't product placement. And we will we'll take a look at what it is that we're building. Right. So here is what we get inside issue 117. Screws, as expected, and there's nothing to build. This should just be a motherboard that is going to attach to the hull. Right, so that is where the pin from the stand's going to go through. That's the other one. So I understand what they're saying. Oh, it does look quite interesting, this one. Okay, this is a big old board. But we can see all of the plugs there where everything's going to go into. So literally everything's going in here. Okay. Yeah, this is just going to be a case of screwing it in. Now, we are screwing into metal. So as tempted as I am to 3-in-1 this, I don't want to get any oil on the board. So I don't think I am. I think I'm just going to have to brute strength the screws in. But let's bring the hull over. Let's get this installed. So for clarity, if this is where the forecast is, this isn't screwed in, it's just rested. This is where our chip is going. Now, there are 2 parts that protrude from this. Let's see if we can get this right. And we need to make sure those are lined up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to very slowly screw this in. But we're going to start there. So if we've got one lined up and we get 2 of these screws in, this should hopefully make the rest of it a lot easier. So we're going to go with this one first. Yeah, because again, you don't need to over tighten this, it's not load bearing or anything, but at the same time you don't want it loose and flopping about. So there's one, and these are AM screws, so the little kind of short stubby ones. Pop another one in here. Yeah, I mean, it's stiff. It will be a lot easier with the oil, but as I said, I don't want to get any oil on the actual board itself. I don't think it would hurt it. I just don't want to get any on there. So I'm going to pop another one in here. Don't over tighten this, because even though you want it secure, what you don't want to do is over tighten it and crack the board, because that is what will happen. So I'm tightening these up, but once the resistance hits, I'm stopping. There we go. So there are 3 more to go in. They're over here. Okay. So it's that one. Put one in here. And then one more, which is just going to drop into there. Whoop. There we go. Let's have that. Yeah, nice and secure. And that's it. So that's what that's going to look like when that's in. Happy with that. I mean, that's exactly as it should be. Nice and simple. Motherboard in. Let's have a chat. Job done. Nice and simple. I mean, it's 6 screws, but that is essentially the brain of our Titanic. It's the brain of our model. If you want all the bells and whistles to work, well, you need someone to power the bells and whistles, and that is what's going to do it. So it's a necessary. We had to go in at some point. Now it's in. Now they're saying don't put this back on the stand. I'm not going to put it back on the stand. I'm going to be a good boy and do as I'm told. I'd like to put it back on the stand, but I'm not going to. Thankfully, because the Disney Doll's House, which we actually started at the same time as this one, the same week, has now finished. I've got a lovely clear area on the ground where this can sit until we can put it on the stand. So I'm just going to stick to what they're saying. That if there wasn't a good reason not to do it, I'm sure they wouldn't have mentioned it. So as tempting as it is to put it back on the stand, not gonna. That's all for this week. Just sticking around for the build instructions. Thank you for stopping by. If you are sticking around for our Titanic talk, we're talking about Plymouth Harbour. Not the place. Not the place. We're not talking about the place Plymouth Harbour. Well, we kind of are. What we're actually talking about is this. So what is that? That is a painting of Plymouth Harbour, and it was done supposedly on a very vibrant summer's day, and it paints Plymouth Harbour as a very welcoming destination. What's relevant about that painting is the painting that was over the fireplace in the first class smoking lounge. And what makes that more relevant is that was the last place that Thomas Andrews, the architect of the Titanic, was last seen, staring at that painting. Now, there was a while where they weren't sure what he was staring at, and I don't think he was staring at the painting. I got to be honest with you. I think he was in shock. I think is what he was. I think he probably felt a hell of a burden, a hell of a responsibility, and I don't think he was looking at the painting. I think he was in shock. A lot of people say he was looking at the clock. I don't think he was looking at the clock either. I think he was just in fear, shock, bewilderment. I don't think whatever he was staring at, he wasn't staring at it. But this is the painting that would have been directly in front of him. Now, naturally, it's at the bottom of the ocean. But the idea behind that painting was, we know that that's the paint that went on there because there is a record of it being purchased and what the intent was. So White Star Line wanted a view for people boarding in New York of what Plymouth Harbour they were going to. So the idea being they could look at it and it's almost like a promotional thing. This is where you're going. So this is a very lovely sunny picture. And it shows Britain in a very kind of light view when in reality we're quite grey and overcast. But that was the idea. The idea being this is where we're going. And that's why that one was there. I believe there is one of New York in another lounge, but that is what was over the fireplace, and that is what Thomas Andrews was staring at. It has been replicated, so there are very, very, very good reproductions of that painting because people wanted to see it. So fortunately, there were images of it where it could be replicated. Naturally, creative license is going to be taken with the actual colour scheme and whatnot, but that is as it was. The one I've just shown you is it. That's exactly as it was. But that is what would have been directly in front of Thomas Andrews whilst he was in his deep deliberation of what was about to happen. And the burden of knowledge must have been horrendous. If you designed it, you know what's about to happen. You know, even though everybody else can be thinking, well, this might happen, this might happen. He knew what was going to happen. There were only really 2 men on board that ship that knew exactly the gravity of what was taking place. One of them was obviously the designer, and the other one was the captain, who you might have noticed we have not spoken about. And we're not going to. He will be the last Titanic talk. He will be the very last conversation we have will be the captain of the ship. And you'll hear how I feel about that. Some people see him as a hero, some people see him as the villain, some people see him as a neutral, some people, you'll hear what I think when we come to that, which isn't that long, because remarkably, by the time we've done this month's pack, we've only got 20 issues left to go. 20, that's it. So we are coming to the end. We can see it all coming together now, and it's looking beautiful. That is all from me for this one. I'll be back lightning quick with issue 118, where we are doing some work to the engine room. So we are putting in some bulkheads to the engine room. I'll tell you exactly which one. We're putting in the forward and aft bulkhead upright supports and screws. That's what we'll do the next one. So again, not the easiest thing, but not the hardest thing. It's not going to be labour intensive. If you haven't yet, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps us massively. If you'd like to contact us, you can contact us at buildingtheboys@outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you. Until then, in a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice. I'll be back very, very soon with issue 118 of Hachette's Build the Titanic. Take care, and I'll see you soon.